No, they're not very insurance.
Here we go.
Are we able to have the slides?
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is just an overview for the purpose of information about what we are doing for this insurance renewal period. So currently, the positive news is we're in a softening market for insurance, everybody. So
Whatever you say, you just smile.
this is good news. So I'll start with the good news.
Shake sandwich number 2.
So what we've had is about a decade of a hard insurance market. So Aon seemed really positive when they spoke to us about how this was now softening, which should be seen in our premiums, which is great. So Aon place our insurance in the London market predominantly. So they go out there and they present to those markets so that they understand what our risk profile is, and they can get the best price so that those insurers understand what they're getting into, essentially. The Roxburgh Entertainment fire could impact our premiums, but with that softening market, we're hoping that it will balance out and we won't see a major increase there. It could mean that we have an increase in our deductibles, which are pretty low at the moment. So, which was great for the 2 consecutive fires at the entertainment centre. But our deductible on that policy is actually only $10,000 at the moment, which is probably the lowest you will ever get in a council across New Zealand. So we might see that there's a bit of a push to increase that, but Aon have said that they'll try and iron everything out for us. So currently, our current policies are material damage and business interruption. So material damage covers all our above ground infrastructure, so all our buildings, and that is essentially like our buildings and contents insurance. We've got motor vehicle, public liability, professional indemnity, statutory liability, employer's liability. We've got an excess layer on general and professional liability. We've got cyber cover, crime, forestry, airport owners and operators liability, and drone coverage, because that needs its own special policy.
What is, sorry?
Drones, so unmanned aerial vehicles.
You speaking now?
So we've got quite a few different policies. So the renewal period, our renewal period pretty much starts now, ready for those policies to be renewed from the 1st of November. Our 3-yearly process of revaluation of property has been completed, as has our 5-yearly revaluation of park assets, and water assets are revalued on an annual basis. So that's also been done. So basically what we do is we provide all the details to Aon. The biggest piece is that material damage renewal, because we've got to make sure that obviously all of our assets are properly documented and that the values have all been updated. Because this is a revaluation year, a fairly big one, because the parks and the property valuations have lined up, we might see that there are some increases there driven by just the fact that the property values have increased. Other policy renewals are fairly simple and should stay fairly stable, especially in this softer looking market. We haven't had the confirmation of any impact from that Roxburgh fire, but Aon will work to reduce that. Obviously that is now an asset that won't be insured, so that's will have a minor saving for the next couple of years before that one's rebuilt. And also internally, we are working to get a better process in place just throughout the year to make sure that any changes to our asset base are notified to our insurers. So where we make significant improvements to buildings, that's actually taken into account on our insurance schedule, so we are covered. You know, for example, where we upgraded the Alexandra Library, We just want to make sure that there's a good process in place, that we are covered for where we need to be, and for new assets as well. So things like building a new water treatment plant. We've probably not got that process nailed down yet to make sure that all the right notifications are made at the right time. So it relies very much on the project manager going, hey, we need to add this to the insurance schedule. But once we've formalised that, it should be a lot easier. So Roxburgh Entertainment Centre, we have had a quantity survey done by the insurer. So the insurer instructed the loss adjuster to instruct someone else to complete the quantity survey. So that is a very high level QS that's come back. So we have sent through some queries on that, on the figures that have been provided, and they are currently being reviewed. This has been quite a long process. I did chase at the start of this week to see where we were with those queries, and haven't received anything back yet. So hopefully that will be wheeling its way to me in the near future. But once that has been finalised and those queries have been answered, it's likely that what we will do is instruct an independent QS to be undertaken so that we can have that independent view and look at those two QS figures side by side, and go back to the insurer to agree what payout will be for the replacement of the entertainment centre. But that claim has been accepted by the insurer, so they know it's coming. They know it's going to be a pretty big one, and it's just getting those fine details sorted out to make sure that we get the best that we can get from that claim. But once that figure is agreed upon, it means that we can sort of agree how those payments will be made to us. So it's likely that we'll get a payout of the indemnity amount, which was about $3 million. So they'll pay that out sort of upfront, and the rest we'll have to agree whether that's instalments as the construction takes place, or whether they are happy to also make a lump sum payment for the rest of that. So a few things to be worked through, and hopefully the process will speed up sometime soon.
Is that somewhere around 6.5? Is it?
So we were insured for 6.3, but that is the total sum insured. So that includes everything from site clearance and any demolition that we had to do, through to consultant costs and design and everything. So, we'd never be able to construct a building of $6.3 million value, but that was our total sum insured.
Can you think on that?
Yeah, just over 1,000.
You can do it for less than 6.
Well, we're going to get Jasmine to design it and that'll cost you half.
Big bit to go to overpower pond.
You just need to get the cookie cutter approach from over here.
Yeah.
Just go higher for the videos.
6. Setting the final thing to go with
We are also looking to get a progress payment, so that is being worked through by the loss adjuster for what we have already paid out. That's about 250,000 that we've already spent on site clearance, and demolition and asbestos removal and all the fun things that come after a fire. So he has been working through those to sort of get us the best we can from the policy, where we've got sub-limits for things like asbestos removal or demolition. He's making sure that everything can fit well within that claim to get the most out of that one. And self-insurance. So currently, we
will continue to.
yes. Currently, we self-insure roads, footpaths, bridges, art. So there have been a few discussions in the past around whether there's any value in getting a fine art policy. So currently all of our art is currently just under contents, under material damage. So that includes the Eaton Hall collection, which is a very difficult collection.
Is it names specific, like you do with your?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a very difficult collection to sort of ensure because you can't replace it. You can kind of only get a payout if anything was to happen to those dresses. We'd get some money, but we would have to decide then what to spend that on because we can't replace the, yeah.
So we looked, the team was really keen, all her, I'm sure the beautiful pictures that we had that we want to display at various places. And the sheer cost of insurance, we just better take the risk, and if that happens, we've got the.
Digital copies.
We just give you.
Front of me.
Yes, get the license to do it.
Yeah. And a lot of it is sort of covered by the contents, and we've made sure where, the Eden Hall exhibits that have been moved around the district and are in various locations are covered appropriately. So at the moment there's no need for another policy.
There's a picture of the tenants and chambers that might need to be insured.
Yeah. Oh, or Mr. Cromwell's just been dumped in the corner and Cromwell chambers.
He was turned around.
Bill's not, he's in the naughty corner place. Oh,
Sorry, Mary.
No. Sorry. Underground infrastructure, we self-insure, and we currently don't have any cover for life or health insurance. So some councils do choose to insure, for example, elected members of ELT, and that can give you a payout in the event that anyone couldn't continue with their duties. You can sort of get some money in that respect to fill various different roles, but it's very difficult to work out, and it often doesn't really give you much value. So we have had discussions around what that might look like internally. I asked other councils what they do in that space, but
I add to that, we used to have it a long time ago, and it's a very expensive insurance. It costs about 25,000 a year, and we had only 2 instances in the time I've been here of staff that had covered by it. So one was Mark Heard, who passed while he was away at work, and the other one we had Shirley Howard, who had determined on this, in the sort of period. So what we've been having this conversation with Peter around whether or not there is internal policy, sort of Peter, around whether in the event of something like that, that Peter has discretion, to help family with the costs and this stuff and that classes at work and stuff. So we're working that through. The shared cost for that policy for the number of times we've used it is pretty high. So under Peter's direction, we're looking at that one.
This is $25,000 a year.
Well, you and it was a maximum payout of 30K.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't, we perhaps.
Self-insurance sounds good.
It wasn't.
Self-insurance sounds very good.
25%, that's.
But I agree with that.
And the next payout of 30,000 for general staff, but the real fear thing about this policy, was GEs we were about. We were really high.
So that's
And so that was
over.
Yeah. So that, and the idea was that, you get a contract around cost of the recruitment company and all that, and then anything left over, you might give that to the family. Whereas Peter doesn't favours a different approach to this, is that we just absorb the cost of any recruitment. And that if there is to be a policy, it's the same value that you start for that.
You well done.
He
He doesn't agree, doesn't that.
So the only thing to add to that in terms of self-insurance is that obviously there is central government funding for emergency and disaster situations. So where key infrastructure is lost, we would see that those assets that we currently self-insure, we would be able to work with central government to make sure that they are helping us to reinstate asset base that we have. So, that was confirmed in the recent Gisborne events that they did get the payouts that they were expecting through central government. So, we can expect that that would continue. Any questions?
You've done pretty good, actually. Thanks. Yeah, the insurance should have done.
You've done a lot of work earlier, also about how this stuff
Yeah.
works. Feel quite informed now about insurance.
Excellent.
It costs too much. So it's come a long way. $39.99 when it comes to death insurance.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's good.
Instructors and power even.
It's interesting, that whole key personnel side of things. I don't know how many people, Saskia, how many people were in that key personnel that you were looking at? How many people were covered under that policy when you had it?
All staff were covered, so in days of the work in my memory, it was 30 worth 100,000, so actually my figure was 100,000. Or if we had that policy, in place at the time, which we didn't, so we reinstated it, and then we had a longer again, for it's actually quite promising. But yeah, all staff were covered.
So I guess, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm fully aware of how much that kind of key personnel stuff costs. And if you were thinking it was going to be 25 now, you're probably looking at double that. So I know how much.
But the reality is that,
And if it's, look, I don't actually think for this organisation it's necessary.
but all those key staff take a new job tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you look at them, wait, somebody, this rest, why would you bother?
Yeah.
Whereas they all, unless you've got them somehow bound to some sort of contract for X number of years, you know, you can give notice and be gone tomorrow. You're a key staff, without a doubt, but you can still go.
Don't have to be dead to us.
Yeah. So ask if they hear that.
So watch yourselves.
Well, no, but
There's maybe the mixed, really mixed approach. Some councils do have it, but others have got, like us, the cost of this, that we tend to use it.
For the maternity,
Yeah. But then there's a real argument, like something like her case, who died while away at a conference, that we did, we just found the money to sort of cost to bring back and support and all that. But it wasn't huge.
that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Of course, that's absolutely the right thing to do. No one would dispute that for a moment.
Yeah,
But still, it's between.
Yeah.
That's what both would be.
yeah, yeah. And then the other thing that has also been implemented since we had that insurance is, under Peter and Louise, is sort of about this, managers, special leave discretion. So Shirley Howden, had been here a long time, so I think the sick leave sort of covered the cost. The whole idea is to help the person financially as they're going through something as horrendous as that. But we do have other mechanisms now in our wellbeing policy to assist staff that are really sick and unwell, or had family member terminally ill. Like work was really good for me, so didn't need any, work has these other mechanisms too. So definitely taking us back to paying there's going to be a sort of blanket. Whether it was 35,000 when we look at it with a blanket policy, or whether it's a case by case basis and Peter just decides and think about it, we can do that there's an independent assistance.
Right, any other questions for me? What one we didn't ask, What's the question we haven't asked?
Oh, absolutely nothing.
She won't give the
Having it all.
No, I think these are things that are useful just to make you stop and think. And even that conversation about sort of not so much justifying, but rationalising, saying why we don't do some stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be asked, unfortunately. I guess the only bit of insurance, I could hope you never have to use it. There's never be enough when it happens. All right, well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are we done? Thank you, everybody. for today's efforts, and normal transmission will resume on the 12th of August.
Yeah.
When Tony will be back in the chair.